every time it rains, the driver's footwell fills up with water. Now that appears to be coming, if I follow it around, from this little guy here. The plan is to pull the windscreen out, weld up that hole, paint it back again, and put the windscreen back in. Hopefully I can do that without breaking it. I figure at the same time there's this little crack down in the door here. What I'm figuring, look at this, inside this thing. I leave it for 2 days. I clean the cobwebs, leave it for 2 days, and look at them back. I mean, that's I guess what happens when a thing sits for years, and yeah, it just gets infested with spiders. I've sprayed around with fly spray, so hopefully that'll sort it. I think I'm just going to try and go around it and press it all the way in. Tuck it in like that. I'm sure there's an easier way. Oh, that's easier. Marginally. Right, so I've folded that all the way around just with my fingers. The bottom's still stuck in, but I think I can just lift that out. Alright, so that came out pretty easy. Problem in here, it's just I think just leaking through that little hole there. You can see other little issues too, so they've tried to fix with silicone up here before, which is it's a really, really bad move. I used to use silicone all the time, but now I know better. So that obviously was coming in this little spot right here. So also you can see more places are sort of starting here, there. So I'm just using one of these knotted wire wheels. I'm really surprised they just filled that up with bog. You'd think with the military, with lots of workshop resources, they would have just spent 10 minutes with a welder rather than 5 minutes with some bog. So all welded up. That was maybe 2 minutes work. Really good. So that's after the weld. Right, painting's done. About to put that windscreen back in. I've never painted with a lacquer before, and hindsight's great, but what was really weird is it dried as pretty much as soon as it sprayed on, so it made it real difficult to have that smooth matte look. See, it's a bit mottly looking, but next time if I paint it, and when I paint it, I'll do it out of direct sunlight. Okay, so putting the screen in, I don't exactly know what to do, but this is the seal. I'm just going to clean all the old sealant that was in here. I don't want to use anything that hardens. I'm going to use some grease on there, and I'll put some grease around the window frame as well. I mean, grease will stay fluidy. It'll repel moisture and stuff like that. So I've got this stuff here. Unless you know your window rubber is nitrile, if you use regular grease on regular rubber, it will just sort of dissolve it. So I'm just using rubber grease. Okay, so I'm going to smear it around the inside of the sill as well. Now some of you are probably curious as to why I said don't use silicone. I will make a future video on sealants, so just keep an eye out for it. I'll try and lift the window in from outside. I'll lift it in, and it should be as easy as just chucking it in there. It's not going to be that easy, but it's actually pretty heavy. Come on. Now I've tied a bit of fishing line around the inner. I can just pull on the line and that will just run around the outside and pull it all in. Oh. And that's in, perfect. That wasn't so hard. Tomorrow I'm just going to have to do a mega clean on the grease. I'm just going to fix up these little details. Little bits like this don't take long to tidy and I think make a big difference. So these parts I've just given a quick sandblast. Now I'm going to soak them in water just to get a little bit of rust on them. As I use a rust converter. You normally get this stuff at a spray can too, which is pretty good if the nozzle's not all blocked up like my one. Do a nice purple or black colour if it's working. Right, so these have been coated in rust converter. You can see here's the zinc area. This is the bit that, you know, got that very slight surface rust on it. I don't think you're supposed to paint this over zinc, but I'm just going to see what happens. It's really, really hard and hard wearing. They say that will bond to non-rusted steel, but that's not my experience. It has to have a slight amount of rust on it, otherwise it just flakes off. So I was interested with if you mark it with a screwdriver, if it actually comes off the zinc coating. And you get a little bit off, but not too much. The bit where it's oxided, really strong. To rust-proof these doors. So wherever two bits of metal are close together, the water just wicks in there and stays in there and it won't come out. It's not easily anyway. So I'm just going to wire brush all that down, all that rust off, put some rust converter on it, prime it and paint it, and then I'll fill that crevice up with something to stop water from getting down inside and rusting out further. Get a wet cloth and just wet the exposed steel. So we paint over the rust converted spots. Right, so I've just melted some petroleum jelly. So I've just got this fan heater in here and I've taped up the holes on the bottom. The fan heater drives out any moisture and heats the steel. So I'll just flip that off, take that out, and now I'll get my petroleum jelly. Wow, that's hot. And pour it down. And so I've just poured it down inside the door. Right, so that's just filled up any little gaps that are down inside the door. Well, you can just see it starting to seep through here now. It's just a little bit shiny right here. So it's just seeped. Here's another little shiny bit here. So that petroleum jelly is now worked its way all the way through that crevice, and it's going to harden in there, solidify in there, and inhibit any more moisture from coming in and corroding my doors out.